I was actually the affiliate chair for West San Gabriel Valley Association of Realtors back in 2007 when we were still at the Palms building. So I do recognize many familiar faces, and there's plenty of you that I hope to meet later. Hi, Alex. Frank. Lovely to be here today and have the opportunity to speak with you guys and let you guys be aware of a couple of things that might help you in adding value to your property through environmental means. And basically now, Monday this past week was Martin Luther King Day, right? And well, you guys are in real estate business, so you guys probably didn't get the day off like a lot of government people. But Martin Luther King was very well known for his speech for "I Have a Dream." That's one of the most quoted sayings of all time. Another person that I would like to mention, another quote that I would like to mention is from Teddy Roosevelt. And for me to make sure that I don't get the quote wrong, I actually wrote it down. I will read this to you. Now, Teddy Roosevelt was our 26th president, and he was known for his wild personality, his progressive thinking, and moving our country forward. This quote says, "Conservation means development as much as it does protection. I recognize a right and the duty of this generation to develop and to use the natural resources of our land, but I do not recognize the right to waste them, to rob by wasteful means for future generations to come." Now, he is probably our country's first environmentalist, and his progressive thinking has really brought this country along. What we will be talking about today is how we could improve the value of your buildings and properties through resources that the government has already set in place to help you bring value up. I have with me here today Spencer Jones and Emily Kim, and we have PowerPoint set up for you with some samples of how you could add value to your property. So without further ado, let me bring up my colleague, Spencer Jones. Let's give him a hand.
I'm Spencer Jones. I'm a team supervisor for an energy consultant company, AmGreen. We're going to go over a little bit about water conservation, as well as lighting and energy conservation, and the Hotel Green project, which is very interesting, as well as Q&A at the end. Just a show of hands, retrofits. Anybody familiar with that term? So about 20%, something like this? Okay, so no problem. The first thing we're going to talk about today is water conservation. It's very important to realize where we are. Southern California is one of the largest holders of outsources of water in the United States. Between 15 million customers a day. What that means is in this desert climate, we purchase water from the Colorado River and the Hoover Dam. Obviously, the hardship to something like a shortage of water could be very important to the city. So we have what's called toilet retrofits, water retrofits, that help reduce the water shortages. Most building owners, property owners, do not realize really how much their water bill can be reduced simply by replacing fixtures. As you can see, probably about 15 of you showed your hands in terms of what the knowledge is of a water or a toilet retrofit. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. Retrofits. The solutions include toilet upgrades, retrofits with what's called a high efficiency fixture, the installation of these water efficient or automated faucets, aerators, and low flow shower heads. A weather-based irrigation system, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And irrigation accounts for 50% of commercial water usage in Southern California. The weather-based irrigation systems obviously can work in terms of a computer control, but it basically, in terms of this climate, if it rains, it doesn't water it as much. You can, of course, utilize it in certain areas that need more water and ones that need less. But as you can see, with a 50% usage of commercial water, it is important to be mindful of our environment. Property benefits of water conservation, upgrades, and retrofits. Measurable and verifiable water conservation. Reduction in total water costs up to 60% of utility costs on a water bill. We'll talk about that in 1 second. There's rebate programs. If you're not familiar with, we of course can set up an energy audit complimentary for you guys to go over that for your properties. But obviously the idea here, guys, is to reduce costs. And obviously we do that with the high efficiency toilets as well as maintenance costs, because they will be phasing out older toilets. Okay. The increased value of the property asset does go up. Tax credits and incentives are available. High efficiency toilets alone can reduce a property's water usage by an astonishing 34% on average. Okay? Between 20 and 60% is what you can pretty much expect if you're not retrofitted yet. And we have an historic Hotel Mayfair, which we did downtown just recently. They're built in 1926 in downtown Los Angeles. They have over 330 guest rooms, and the customer's goal was to cut down on their retrofits. You mentioned the president. They hadn't actually been retrofitted with toilets since Jimmy Carter was president. Before Jimmy Carter was president, incidentally, back in 1950, we were flushing around, I believe, five gallons per flush. Then, meaning every time, not to talk about the details of it too much, but 5 gallons was going down the drain every single time we flushed. Then we said, hold on, something needs to change. Okay? And then they said, okay, so we'll change it. We'll not cut it in half. We'll go to 3.5 gallons per flush. Okay, so this hotel was basically flushing all 330 rooms on average 4 times a day with 3.5 gallons per flush. Okay, so what they obviously did, just to give you an example, was when we retrofit, we basically look at the gallons per flush that's being used. We went from a 3.5 down to a 1.28, which is standard. Doing the math, 63% reduction in water costs just by doing that alone. So if you can imagine, let's just take a simple water bill of $10,000 a month. Obviously, this was obviously higher, right? But $6,300 was saved just by retrofitting their toilets. Incidentally, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power covered the entire cost, up to $90,000 of retrofit. They got for free, and $6,300 of it was being saved per month, $92,000 plus per year, simply by changing their toilets, which were 35 years old, which obviously were not working up to standard, covered by the rebate to offset the cost. And most importantly, a projected water savings over 10 years of 63 million gallons. So the next thing is a little bit, a lot of people like to talk about is lighting. It's very important that we obviously conserve energy, and lighting engineers usually will be able to, whenever they come into your building, for instance, balance a variety of variables that affect your property's needs, both residential and commercial. Space utilization, hallways, offices, meeting rooms, lobbies, parking garages, they all have different types of lighting. Induction, these have the fluorescence. You've heard of LED perhaps, which incidentally usually is under the exit signs. Day lighting, whenever your property is most maximized, we obviously don't want to overlight there. So we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. We'll just keep moving on. So the installation costs and the maintenance costs of your current lighting. Usually when you switch from, let's say, a T12, which is the bigger, older when we were all in school, the older fluorescent tubes. They usually hung them up here in these droppers right here. Usually they took about 4 lights per unit. We found a way to not only cut down from a T12 to a T8, we've also found a way for them to last almost 5 times longer. So if you can imagine having to change out your lights 5 times a year, now having to change them out 1 time a year, you can imagine that does cut down on operation costs. All right, as well as the T8s being more efficient, and they found ways to put reflectors in them so that you can get 2 lights to do what used to be 4 lights of work, right? So this is the idea of basically retrofitting. So the water conservation is usually retrofitting toilets. The lighting conservation is usually retrofitting lighting. Are we getting a better idea of retrofitting? Some of you are nodding your heads. So if you're not familiar, which is great, some of you are nodding your heads. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about an audit. What you can expect from an energy audit, which is basically energy consultants go in and audit your property, talk to you and consult you a little bit about the needs and how it can, save you money. So full service energy audit, what we will do is we'll come and give you a lighting and energy usage analysis of your property, what is currently being used in the property and how it can save you money. Lighting and energy efficiency consulting, we'll talk about the retrofit design, and to offset costs, like I mentioned with the Hotel the Hotel Mayfair project, we have rebates done by your water utility, your energy utility companies to offset those costs. Reduction in lighting costs, on average, 60%. Decreased maintenance costs we talked about. Increased value of property assets, reduced air pollution, and minimized carbon footprint. As of January 2012, under the AB 1103, it is mandated that all property receive an Energy Star rating before a property transaction can occur. An Energy Star consultant will identify the green opportunities in your building. They'll develop and implement strategies. They'll implement a sustainable design solution to help you earn your Energy Star label certification. And they'll provide comprehensive diagnostic and action plans to ensure your necessary scoring on the Environmental Protection Agency's rigorous National Energy Performance Rating System. Preparing the Energy Star documentation required for EPA submission. Between 0 and 100 is the rating, and obviously with a higher rating, the property asset does increase. As of January 2012, if your building or properties have not been Energy Star rated, in order to sell that property sometime in the future, what will need to be on that paperwork is your Energy Star rating. So if you haven't done it, I suggest you ask one of our energy consultants, and we have complimentary energy audits to sign up for today, if you'd like to know more. Okay, so one last thing we're going to go over. Emily Kim is one of our biggest brains behind the operation here. She's actually put together a quantifiable and measurable statistical result on what's called hotel green projects. A lot of times what we work on with retrofits is hotels, because frankly, if you took a 20-story building, it may have maybe a total of 100 toilets. If you took a 20-story hotel, it may have a total of 500. So you can imagine the savings that occur. So keep in mind this is a large project that we work on, but I think the numbers will make sense, and she's actually worked hard on this, and I think this is an interesting point of interest to focus on. So she'll talk about that in 1 second. Here she is.
Good morning, my name is Emily Kim, and I work at AmGreen Solutions as Program Development and Implementation. I also work as a liaison to all of the utility companies and the water districts here in California. Spencer has spoken a lot about retrofitting and energy conservation and water conservation, but as someone who's brand new and listening to this information, there's a lot of stuff that we kind of just don't click. And so what our company has done has we put together a comprehensive program for our people to see in numbers. As realtors, we love numbers. You know, numbers talk to us. So this is one of the ways that we were able to describe and show people how we can actually improve our property. The program is called the Hotel Green Project, which mainly focuses on hotels, but this program can also be implemented on residential and commercial properties as well. What the Hotel Green Project encompasses is water conservation, lighting conservation, ozone laundry system. The property that has gone through this project is the Oxford Palace Hotel, which is located in Koreatown. It was built in the 1980s. They were very inefficient. There was a lot of stuff that could have been improved and improved their building assets. This particular hotel had 86 guest rooms. Each room had one toilet, so they had 86 toilets. They had to do their lighting retrofits. As of July 1st of this year, all T12 lighting, fluorescent lights, need to be changed out to T8 lights, which are more efficient. T12 lights have been phased out, and your maintenance cost will go up if it is not changed this year. They had laundry systems in the hotel. They had two 60-pound washers, and they did not have an energy management system, and they do not have induction lighting. And these are the numbers of lamps that they had to change out. So we're looking at closely to about 400 lamps that we have to change out. So the first thing that they did was their toilet retrofits. In LADWP, they do provide funding rebates for customers in the LADWP area to have their inefficient toilets retrofitted out at no cost. So what they did was, for this particular property, for them to retrofit their 86 toilets, it was going to cost them about $21,500. That entire cost was covered by the rebates, and so their annual savings came out to about $1,384 per year. With their lighting retrofits, we saw this graph a while ago, and for them to retrofit this cost, it was going to cost them $10,573, and the rebate covered almost 80% of their cost, and the hotel had to pay out of pocket $1,793. But as you can see, the annual savings was 5 times that, and their return of investment was only 4 months. After that, they implemented the ozone laundry system. The ozone laundry system helps reduce gas usage. As we all know, we like to have clean linens when we go to hotel rooms, and they boil their linens and towels in hot water. What the ozone system does is it allows hotels to not use hot water, to conserve gas usage, and use cold water, and ozone is actually shot into the washers to help get rid of all the bacteria and the dirt and whatever impurities that are in the linens. So as you can see in the traditional cycle, this was before the ozone system was implemented, and this is what they're using after the ozone cycle, and this is how much they're saving after implementing the ozone system. The ozone system for this property cost about $12,000. The Southern California Gas Company has given a $5,500 rebate, and their cost was $6,500 afterwards, and their annual savings was about $17,000, and their return of investment was 4 months. We all know that any return of investment that is less than 2 years is a great investment, and not only are you investing in your property, you're also helping to save the environment. This particular hotel has been working on their energy management system. This is kind of a whole property motion sensor project where when a customer goes into a room, the lights automatically turn on, and when the customer is out of the room, the lights automatically turn off. So you reduce the amount of light waste that goes on. The project cost for this was about $17,000, and their cost after we kept it the same because at this time there is no rebates available. But even with paying the upfront cost, the annual savings for this property on saving on energy cost alone was over $20,000, and their ROI was only 10 months. They also had LED and induction lighting, and this was the project cost for them. This ROI is a little bit longer because our Southern California Edison or LADWP are not giving rebates. And the reason why I showed you the slides in the order that it was so that when our customers want to do this Hotel Green project, we encourage them to do projects that are at no cost in the beginning so that whatever you are saving can be invested into the next project. So this was the order that this particular property had gone into their project. They first started with the toilet retrofits. They did their lighting retrofit, the ozone laundry system, the energy management system, the LED, their HVAC, and their solar. This project has been going on for about a year and they're almost done. And up to this point, their savings has astronomically increased. Their total savings up to this point has been about $50,700, and their property has, their value has increased to $406,000, and that was just within the last year. So as you can see, it's very beneficial for your customers to look into it. Even though they might not have the funds available, there are ways that the government is willing to help our customers to make their properties increase in value and to save energy and preserve our environment. That concludes our